Hi everyone and welcome back to Planting for Wildlife. There's been a huge amount of change in the garden this week. All of these pots behind me are because I've had to move them out of the way for the landscapers coming in who have created some new flower beds and also the area where the birch grove is going to go. We've had 10 new trees delivered as well, which is really exciting, and my video next week will be looking at those trees. But for this week, I'm looking at my top 3 pollinator friendly plants for shady areas. I think it can be really difficult to find the right plants for shady areas, and especially finding plants that aren't just ground cover or filling a space, but that you're really excited about having in your garden and are going to provide a really beautiful area of wildlife friendly planting. It's something that Nigel Dunnett talks a little about in his book actually, around creating spaces rather than filling spaces with plants. So that's something that I always have in the back of my mind when I'm planning this garden and thinking about the planting. If you haven't seen my video of my top 3 books for planting inspiration, definitely check that out because I talk about quite a lot of Nigel Dunnett's work in that. The first plant on my list is Euphorbia, and for the sake of simplicity I'm just going to call it Robbie. It has a much longer name that I'll flash up on screen. Unlike a lot of euphorbias, this one can be planted both in full sun but also in deep shade, and also copes with dry shade and poor soils. Although it's very difficult to pronounce, it's actually widely available, at least in the UK, and also received the Royal Horticultural Society, or RHS, Award of Garden Merit Award. It has upright spikes of lime green flowers that contrast really nicely with the dark green, glossy foliage below. The flowers are really popular with pollinators, and being a euphorbia, they last for a really long time. Being evergreen and spreading by suckers makes it a really good plant for ground cover, including underneath trees in that area of dry shade that can be quite difficult to find plants for. It can get a little bit on the invasive side though, so it's best to have a look for any unwanted seedlings in spring and just take those out if you don't want it covering any more space. The plant gets to around 70 centimeters high by 1 meter wide, and it's best to remove any of the spent flower stems in the autumn, leaving any new ones. As with any euphorbia, when cutting back, definitely wear some gloves because the milky sap is actually poisonous and can act as a skin irritant. The next plant on my list is Roggesia, and these originate from the moist woodlands of East Asia. Now, if you want a showy plant with some amazing colours, also great for pollinators for a shady area, I almost don't think you can beat these plants. The variety that I've selected to plant in this garden, and it's going to be planted throughout the birch grove, is called Bronze Peacock. It has beautiful palmity leaves, and early in the season they come out a kind of bronzy red colour, but then colour shift to green later in the summer. As if that foliage wasn't enough interest for your shady area, these also have tall, beautiful pink spikes of flowers that are really good for bees and for pollinators. I'm really excited about getting this plant into the birch grove and really excited to see the impact that it has with those big pink flower spikes in the summer. The last plant on my list is Hellebore. And this one, which is quite a lot heavier than it looks, was dug out of my garden around 3 weeks ago. It was in the area where the kids' play area will be, and now it's going to be moving to the birch grove. I think it's going to be absolutely fine there, and I've got about 5 other hellebores that I've taken from other areas of the garden too. I really love hellebores. They're one of my favourite plants. They take any amount of shade really well. They also take a lot of sun too. This one was dug out of kind of saturated, thick, heavy clay. It's been really wet and it's been absolutely fine with that. I read that they don't like too much dryness or too much wetness, but yeah, as I said, this one was fine in very wet conditions. I think the thing I love about the plants most, and just catching the light nicely there actually, is the intricacy of the flowers. They come in a range of colours, from greens and kind of pale pinks all the way down to really deep colours. This one's quite a nice deep pink, but they go down to pretty much black actually, which is really striking. And one combination I really like with hellebores is a dark hellebore combined with, say, a lime green grass, something like an acorus, I think can be a really nice contrast. They're a plant that I've focused quite a lot in my photography as well actually, and in 2020 I was lucky enough to win the RHS photography competition in the All About Plants category for a hellebore photo which was captured in a local London garden. They normally flower from December until March, providing food for bees when there's not a lot else in the garden. The way the flowers droop over as well actually protects the pollen within the flower in any winter rain, and when the insects on the flower from underneath also protects the insect from getting wet too. They don't really need any care whatsoever, hellebores. They take care of themselves. The only thing that I do myself is just cut back the foliage just before flowering, which accentuates the flowers a bit more and can also reduce the chance of fungal diseases, which hellebores can sometimes suffer from. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'd love to hear what your favourite pollinator-friendly plants are for shady areas. Until next time, enjoy the wildlife in your garden.